Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and for almost a decade, I have been a transformation coach and therapist. This podcast is all about lifting the veil of consciousness and awakening to the truth. It is also about helping you to raise the bar in all areas of your life and relationships by starting with you. If you're ready to take back your personal power and reclaim your life, you have come to the right place. I'm so glad that you're here, so let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to the Awakening Women podcast. I am back and we will be having our regularly scheduled weekly podcast episodes. Sometimes I throw in a second one, but we're back to our usual programming. And before I dive into today's episode, I just wanted to direct you to my brand new masterclass, Breaking the Toxic Bond of Narcissistic Power and Control. It is now available. I'm really excited about this class because it has taken a lot of work, surveying, talking to women, working with women, seeing the process that women go through, and putting that all together in a masterclass to help you see around corners around what mistakes you're making in your relationship that are keeping you stuck in that cycle of chaos and confusion. So head to the link in the show notes to register, and let's dive into today's topic, which is a mistake that I see women making. And even when they're working with me in my program or they're working with me one-to-one, they still have difficulty with this. And there's going to be times when you're going to have difficulty adhering to tending to yourself. And the reason why you have gotten where you are is because of the failure to put the focus and tend to your own needs. I'll say that again. The reason why you're in this relationship is because of an ingrained pattern that you have of not tending to your own needs, feelings, wants, desires, goals, life, etc. You have been focused on the wrong things. So the way to come out of these patterns is to change what you're doing. And that happens on a holistic level. And that's why in my program, it is very holistically based. We deal with the psychological, emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic, and even the financial aspects of empowerment. How do you start to build yourself into being more resilient and being able to take care of yourself, being able to be independent on all areas, so that you will never end up being in a relationship again because you feel like you can't leave? And what do you need to do to become that woman? And so women that come to work with me, generally, I think I would say across the board, they are not tending to themselves at all. And so when you come in to work with me, the focus is, what are you doing in the meantime to take care of everything in your life? Instead, they're wrapped up in feeling like a victim. They're wrapped up in the drama. They're wrapped up in the story. They're wrapped up in going to friends, family, therapists to vent about the story, to vent about what he is doing, to vent about the problem. And I've been there too, so this is not to shame anyone, but I knew that I had to get to a place where I had to stop complaining about the things that I didn't like about my life, and I had to start changing them. So when you find yourself venting over and over the same stories to friends, family, and therapists, ask yourself, is this actually helping me move forward? Because even well-meaning friends and family and therapists can't direct you properly, right? You have to be able to take the steps on your own to start realizing, I am in my victim here, and I don't even feel good about the stories I'm spinning. It feels gross to constantly be talking and rehashing all of this shit, right? It makes you sick. It anchors the trauma into your body the more you speak about it over and over. Now, there is a time for talk therapy, for sure. There's a way to process therapy, though, to process trauma that goes beyond therapy and talk therapy. We have to learn other ways, because just talking about the problem doesn't lead to a solution most times, especially in these cases. And remembering that friends and family only have so much intel about what your relationship day-to-day is actually like. And they oftentimes will just be there to listen and vent to, but they won't have the right direction to give you. rightfully so, because our friends and family are not therapists, they're not our life coaches. They will also be giving you advice on their own lens from how they see relationships, life, what you should or shouldn't do. And honestly, it has to come from within you. So I know what it's like to feel like you just want someone to get you and you want to get that validation. But there are other ways to get that validation that doesn't put that strain and drain on our key relationships and friendships. There's a way to get the validation that you actually don't need anything external to you to feel validated. So when we are looking at all of this, how to develop you into that strong, resilient woman that can adapt to what's coming, that can build the strength and reserves for what's coming should you leave, right? To build yourself up to that point. If you go into exiting when you're on empty, which is what I see time and time again, and that's why I'm sharing this now, because hopefully you're not there, or maybe you still have enough within you to realize, like, I need to put the oxygen mask on myself, because you will go into a next level survival mode when you leave, for sure. And so that's why you need to have these reserves built, these practices built, these rituals, these tools to have to help you process what's coming, the emotional tools. How do you actually move through this in a way that keeps you in your power, that hopefully keeps your health intact, that hopefully helps you prepare and see around corners for what is about to come? And we do this on a holistic level. And that's why one of the reasons why my program is unique is because I do bring everything together on a holistic level inside. So we talk about all there is to implement as far as your holistic healing is concerned, and that you take with you on the other side. You take that with you when you've left. And when I'm working with women, typically I'm asking them things like, are you doing your daily Empower Hour stuff? Like, what are you doing every day that's about you? Because you can get so wrapped up in the daily nonsense, as you know. It really just consumes everything. When I look back on all that I have gone through and everything that I continue to have gone through, I credit being able to keep going, to be able to still keep going despite any health issues or things that are going on in my personal life. I credit my ability to bounce back and be able to keep moving forward no matter what has come my way, to my ability to adhere to caring for myself, to doing what I need to do to tend to my own needs first. And this is a big one, and this has been many, many years in the making, right? When I first realized that I wasn't doing this, I can't even recall when I really started to put a lot of prioritization on this. It's been that long that it's just ingrained as part of my lifestyle. But it does shock me sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, to see how little women are actually doing for themselves. And this is work you have to do regardless of your spouse or who you're living with or your relationship. These are things that we need to have in place before we even get in a relationship. And that's where a lot of women, we all have gone wrong, is we enter in something without our own wholeness intact, without our own shit together, right? And we look to someone else to fix it all and make it better and rescue. Instead, we have to take ownership for every single area of our life, for every single thing we have or don't have, financially, health-wise, materially, relationally, and beyond. The first step is realizing nobody is coming to save you and that you have to figure this out on your own. Yeah, that's a tough realization, but it's the only way that you will ever feel like you are a fully independent woman, right? And so the real message here is to check in and ask yourself, how am I caring for me in all of this? How much of my day is about me, tending to me, meeting my own needs on all levels? What are you doing for yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally every day? What are you doing to grow your grow your mind and tap into your healing and tap into your emotional energy to move trauma and move the things that are stuck within your body? What are you doing to calm your nervous system? And this is hard when you're in a situation that is constantly triggering your nervous system in a negative way. So what we need to be doing is having practices in place to counteract some of that, and start now. So this idea that you can't do anything while you're in the relationship is not true. Starting now is better than waiting, because nothing really ever gets better on its own by just leaving it. It often gets worse. And so that's my challenge to you is, are you going to wait around, keep doing the same things over and over and over, expecting different results? Meanwhile, everything is just getting worse and worse, because that is what tends to happen in these relationships when we aren't doing something about it. Just like with our health, if health is going sideways and we're not really doing anything about it, it will just get worse. It's usually not going to just go away on its own unless we are, taking active steps to repair and heal and rebalance things that are off. And so we take that holistic approach to everything that we do and how we live our days and how we take care of ourselves. And then that impacts every other area of our life: work, parenting, relationships, friendships, health. It's all connected. So that is the message I have for you today. And if you are wondering about, okay, so how do I do this? Because I know I've even heard this before. I've heard women say, I'm afraid of how my partner will react if I start pulling back and focusing on me and doing what I want to do for me. And I say, well, that is exactly what it is that you need to do. That is the problem in the first place. You should never be worried about someone's reaction to you taking care of your own needs and taking space for yourself and doing what you need to do for you. Or for, you having your own boundaries. And that is the core issue of the problem here, is anytime you don't feel like that, that's a problem. And you have to start reclaiming that for yourself. No one else is going to do that for you. And that is, and what we've just discussed here is the core premise of how do you start breaking the trauma bond while you're still in the relationship? Because we've all heard it. If you've been around on Instagram long enough, you've heard all about the quote unquote trauma bond, right? It's a catchphrase. And it's always, you need to leave and go no contact to break it. And while there's truth in that we can't fully clear something out until we break the addiction or break the contact with it, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or a toxic relationship, you can start to do things now to build that foundation and to actually start loosening that grip now. Because for some women, and this might be you, your nervous system is just like, it's in the freeze mode. Like you can't even, like a lot of things that are happening right now are just, you're not able to cope with even the smallest daily things because of the where your nervous system is. And so if I was to tell you, okay, you need to go get all your stuff, pack up your kids, find a new house, find new furniture, qualify for a mortgage right now, or find a place to rent, find somewhere for all your pets, figure out how you're going to do this on your own, and work and childcare and all these, you need to go do that like now. Like you just need to get out. That sends your nervous system into overdrive, right? For most people. So instead, what I teach is, okay, so let's look at like what are the next logical steps that you can ease into that keeps your nervous system feeling safe. And that's how we move forward. We train ourselves to know, like, this is okay for me to take these steps. And sometimes they're even baby steps. And some of those baby steps are, I'm going to start carving out time for me every day. And to feel into what that feels like, to take care of me and start loosening the grip that this other person, I've allowed this other person to have on what I do and don't do. And you start doing those things. And you ease your way, you grow into the woman that is ready to leave when the time comes. When it's right for you, when you have everything lined up. Now, I know sometimes that can't happen. Some women need to leave quickly if things become volatile or just too much to bear, or it just gets way too difficult to, even continue, and some women have to leave abruptly. So I'm not saying stay in something that's getting worse and more volatile and dangerous. No. But if you're in a situation where that's not the case and you're not worried about your immediate danger, there's a lot you can be doing without having to tip your spouse off that you're doing this, right? They don't need to know this, because in fact, that will just create so much more drama, more of the love bombing, more of the hoovering and the manipulation. If they catch wind that that's what you're doing, it just makes things escalate like crazy. So if you can work on these aspects, and if you're not sure what these are, this is exactly what I walk you through step by step in my program, is how do you actually do that? And it starts with breaking that attachment, that traumatic attachment. And that's what I teach you in my free class. So if you want to take that first step, that is where I would have you begin. And once again, the link is in the show notes and you can dive into that right away. It's an on-demand class, so there's no specific time you need to show up. When it lands in your inbox, you can watch it whenever it works for you, which is handy. I find doing the live classes, while I love them, it's very difficult because oftentimes, well, it is, everyone's on other parts of the world, right? In other parts of the world. And it's so difficult to have a time that everyone can attend. So I've decided to just put this in a recorded version of the live class that I would usually run. So you can access that once again at the link in the show notes. If all else fails, you can head to my website, Narcissistic, and there will be a place to sign up for it there as well. All right, so that's it for today, and I will chat with you again in the next episode. Take good care. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this show and it has served you and helped you on your journey, please take a moment right now and leave a rating and review in iTunes and Spotify. If you'd like more daily content, videos, and inspiration, come on over and join me at Awakening Women Support Official over on Instagram, where we can connect and you can continue your transformation and growth journey. And I'll see you online. Take care.